Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nexus, where we spotlight some of our favorite local businesses. I have in store a awesome show for you today. We're kind of doing a wellness theme the last few weeks, and I have John Canfield here, and I can almost guarantee you're going to learn something new on this call today. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Renee.
John's the owner of Joyful Living, and he does... What would you describe your services as, John?
So we're generally known as wellness or emotional wellness practitioners. You'll also hear us called emotional health practitioners, but our modality is more in the energy world. We're emotion code certified. I'm also body code certified. So it's a little bit different than your traditional, I'm going to counseling or I'm going to therapy to have things released. This is more about identifying what's trapped in the body and releasing it so your body does what it's created to do.
What's the pure definition of emotion code?
So emotion code is looking for those traumas or the emotional baggage, often inherited, which that's a piece that we know of, but we think we can't do anything about, and identifying these things and then working with the client to remove them. These traumas, this emotional baggage, all these different things that you carry with you that can be causing physical pain, such as inflammation. They estimate 80% of back pain has an emotional basis. For example, if you get rid of the emotional basis, then the back will do and heal itself as it was created to do. It can be a factor in anxiety. You look after what happened with COVID and some of the things that happened there. I see a lot of kids right now for anxiety and fear and anger. So these emotional traumas.
It's a really big issue right now.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And we see these traumas, we carry them, but most of us are like, what do? I just have to live through it.
Right.
And emotion code, body code, gives you an option.
I can speak from experience. I've seen John. I've witnessed his skills in this area, and the only way that I can describe it, and I'm going to jump in here, and we're gonna take it back a step to get the history. But I want to give people a little bit of time to just kind of think about this first and digest, because it takes a little bit to really understand. It's like a completely new concept to most people when I tell them about it, but. I definitely had things that were the baggage that he's speaking of, that it's those thoughts that always just kind of creep in your mind when, there's not a lot going on, and it's the thing that it's just always kind of nagging at you. But you're like, no, I don't need to worry about that, or I've forgiven that, or I've forgiven myself for that. But it still keeps coming back. It resurfaces, and that's the stuff that I wanted to get rid of, and I can say that I haven't had those same things recurring. So it's a really cool thing. It is hard to explain, but John does a really great job on the phone and kind of explaining what he does, but we're going to do that today too, I think. So, but first, John, let's dial it back a few years and give everyone kind of a how you got here, why you're doing what you're doing, and what made you feel like this was your calling?
Absolutely. So I was actually an IT developer in management and development for over 20 years. About 12 years ago, my mom is the one that actually introduced me to the emotion code. And as much as I give her a hard time, 90+% of what she finds works. Yeah. And when she came in, moms are awesome, right? She came in, she said, I've got this magnet thing, I can release this stuff. And I'm like, okay, we'll give it a shot. Yeah. Literally within 60 seconds, we saw differences in our kids, we saw differences in us, and it's like, what just happened? Because we have no basis for this. This is new. Yeah. Started researching. There's a book out there called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, read that. And then that just led to working on my own family, working on friends, working with my mom. That led to body code certification. That's the level 2 certification. Okay. And 6 years ago, this May actually, we started the business Joyful Living. And literally about 4 years ago, God woke me up in the middle of the night and said, you're going to give notice and you're going to go full-time in 30 days. And April, about 4 years ago, we went full-time and literally never looked back. My IT experience was phenomenal, but it was time to move to the next thing. And what we see, the joy, at the end of the day, I'm not tired, because getting to work with people like you or others that come in, and you see people come in, they're weighed down, they're in pain, and then they leave, and there's instant change. And the change continues after they go.
Yeah.
And that just gives you passion and excitement. The more I talk about it, the faster I talk. And it's just so exciting to see. And at the end of the day, you're actually energized because you got to help all these people. And it's so easy and so simple. For all the stuff we've carried, there's a potentially easy solution to help get over the block that you're facing right now.
And you work hard during the sessions. Like, I mean, he is thinking and testing and running through numbers, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes while you're just sort of rambling on and on about whatever it is that comes into your mind. But that rambling kind of gives you like an indicator, and then you know what questions to ask and potentially what we should be working on. So it's fascinating. It feels like he can read minds. So, I mean, we're all in the presence of like a mind reader.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but intuition, discernment's an amazing thing. And as you know, we start every session with prayer. So God leads so many things.
Yes.
But you touched on a really important point there. I have a lot of people that come that talk freely, and anything you share stays there. My wife is also certified, but I don't even share things with her without the client's permission. That's how careful we are.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of people that come in, they're like, John, I've told my story 10 times. It's traumatizing to tell my story. I don't want to tell it again.
Yeah.
And so we just sit and we chat. I say, what do you want to work on? Where are you stuck? And a typical session, you'll bring up what I call the check engine light. My back hurts, or when I'm working with someone, my right shoulder starts to hurt, or I get anxious whenever I go to drive to the grocery store. It literally could be anything.
Yeah.
Those are your symptoms. That's your check engine light is what we call it. And when the check engine light goes on my car, I have no idea what's wrong. You need to get to the root of the issue. And then through muscle testing and prayer as we go through these sessions, you can uncover those roots and they can be released. And they're released a myriad of ways. We talk about the role of a magnet and the energy system in the body. You touched on forgiveness. Forgiveness to this day is far and away the biggest, most dramatic change I see.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how often we think we're done or we don't know why we're forgiving. I've watched people walk out totally changed after forgiving parents, for example, that they didn't even realize they need to forget.
And they may no longer even be living, the people that you're forgiving. And I'm going to kind of jump on one of my theories. I have many, but I don't think people say I forgive you enough. Like, people say I'm sorry all the time. I think there's people that over-apologize for things, but you'll say it's okay, but you don't say I forgive you. And it's very powerful. If you can say that in person to somebody that is offering a sincere apology, it goes so far. Like, it's a game changer. And most of the time when I have said that, you get like this stunned look, like they've never heard it before. And I don't know, I guess I just recommend it highly. Even with like little kids, like just you're always asking them to apologize, but when they apologize, a lot of times they don't hear the words I forgive you.
Yeah.
So.
Or when you apologize, they're still beating themselves up. We do that as adults. We do that as children. We teach our children through, our behaviors and things, or generational things passed down. And you're right, that I forgive you, that forgiveness is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful that it cuts strings that were holding you back that you didn't even know about. And even if the other person, say, isn't there anymore or can't be there for some reason you don't want to visit with them, forgiving sets you free. We've started explaining to people, we grew up with, we forgive. It's forgive and forget is actually wrong, though. We grow up forgive and forget. It's forgive and heal. Forgiving cuts those strings, it sets you free, and then, again, you're down that path, and your body's doing what it's created to do. There's a lot of freedom there. Yeah,
and you're not condoning whatever happened. You're not giving permission for it to happen again. There's just there's nothing to be afraid of when you say I forgive you. It's literally clearing yourself of this emotional baggage. So I don't know, it definitely takes a few times sometimes, though, to get past one of those check engine lights or whatever, too. So, like, it might not all happen in one fell swoop, but if you kind of work on one thing at a time, eventually you're ready to let go of that real root.
Right, and the layers are so important. The heart's amazing. It hides things from us, some to protect, sometimes I think just to hide things.
Yeah.
But each time you forgive, forgiveness can be layers, like forgiving parents. You might have to forgive, multiple times you forgive. trauma comes up, it can be released and addressed, and then you forgive. It's a very layered impact.
Yeah.
And you touched on another point about forgiveness. Forgiveness, if you're in a rough or abusive situation, is not going back. Those people or that person's accountable before God, man, and the law, but it's not your job to hold them accountable. You need to be free of that, and you set a boundary, and you rebuild trust if you have to. But forgiveness really is, that's the number one block we see to people being well.
Yeah, that word, just saying it, back up the dump truck and unload a whole bunch of garbage.
That's exactly right.
You don't need to walk around with all that going on in your head anymore. So,
yeah, exactly.
I really think people can benefit from seeing you. So I want them to be open to the idea because it's helped me a lot. And what was really interesting for me, and I'm just going to touch on this really quick, I was having the same things resurfacing all the time at every session, and I was like, he just must say those things to everybody. That's what every session ends up with, anger or whatever.
Right.
And this last time I finally had new stuff, so I feel like I finally made some real progress. So,
and that's how a lot of sessions go. That's
Yeah.
your check engine light. One person, their shoulder flares. The next person, I'm fine for 2 days, and then anger comes back. It's not coming back. You got another layer ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's what you experienced.
Yeah, so let's say somebody is intrigued at this point. They got that recurring thought they can't get rid of. They've really tried. They've even maybe forgiven. They feel like whatever. What would it look like for them starting from just learning about it today to like, what's the steps? Tell my viewers how they can go through the process.
Absolutely. So we do free discovery calls. We call them Q&A calls, question and answer calls. You can go to our website, which is joyfulliving.me, which you guys are the ones that built that. Thank you. It's been tremendous. And
yes, it's a wonderful site. And you can learn a lot about emotion code on there. Our writer, Taylor Tunison, he did an awesome job describing this concept. It's such a difficult concept to put into words. You can feel it all day long and still not know how to explain it. So if you want to learn more, his website will be a great spot. So
yeah, Taylor did an amazing job. You're walking a fine line sometimes with what you can put on your website these days and how you explain it, and also being succinct. I mean, motion code, body code, you and I, we have talked for hours, and we could continue talking for hours. He did an amazing job putting it down to basically the key points so people know what they're looking at. And then you guys set us up. You can book that discovery call from there. It's a 30-minute call on average. Or if you're ready to jump into a session, something new we're doing. I offer full sessions, which average 45 minutes. My wife is now Emotion Code certified, Sherry, about a year ago, I think, if I'm thinking calendar-wise.
Cool.
And she does half sessions. So there's a lot of people that want the shorter session for different reasons. And so she offers the 20, 25-minute sessions. Both can be booked from the website.
Tell you what, you can dump a bunch of stuff in 20, 25 minutes.
That's right. That's right. And come ready to let it go because it's gonna go.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts of the session is you always recommend celebrating afterwards.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
So people that come in for sessions, at the end, there's a number of things I tell them. When you're done, you'll feel like you went through a workout, need to drink water, eat well, and you'll be tired but feel good.
Be really thirsty.
Yeah, thirsty
Super
is key.
thirsty.
It's amazing how much water you'll drink. And then there's two things. My clients all leave about the same point, we'll say here. But when you walk out that door with gratitude, I say first thing you do is you say, thank you, Jesus. And the second thing you do is you go celebrate. And I don't care if it's coffee, ice cream cone, go for a walk, buy yourself a book, sit in the car for 15 minutes and close your eyes. That physically celebrate, or sing at the top of your lungs to the radio. It takes everybody literally from here to like 10 steps higher. It's not even close. It takes, kind of some of the ups and downs from the session and just smooths them out. And it's celebration, it's worship, and it changes everything. Praise, we didn't touch on it, but praise is huge in sessions also. It's pretty amazing, that praise gratitude.
After my very first session, I just went to a lake and just like appreciated how beautiful it was. Like I just had a different clarity, and it
looked different, didn't it?
Yeah, it was hard to explain, but I really enjoy that about the sessions. But then I personally feel like things continue to like sort themselves out for like a week or even sometimes 2 weeks after a session. So I I feel like I continue to receive the benefits of having worked through stuff, but it's still sort of like you cracked the crystal ball, but it's just sort of slowly crumbling. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, you release all these weights, and once they're gone, the traumas or the emotional baggage, literally your body on its own is like, I don't need this, and it just starts throwing stuff out. So this continues on, and the changes are subtle, but if you pay attention, the subtle changes often turn out to be absolutely the biggest changes. People react to you differently. You hear news, and you're like, it doesn't upset me anymore.
You don't feel so, like, tied to that you can tell that same story that used to be so hard to tell and just really be detached from it.
Yeah, it's more neutral.
And then when you talk about it again, it's not like all the garbage comes back. It's just still gone. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. We love doing it.
Yeah, I know you do. You really love what you do.
Yeah.
And then you get to see his dog.
Yes, we have a white golden doodle whose name is Joy, and she is a handful in a good way. For people that are comfortable, she comes into the sessions, and she's a lover.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's adorable. I love her. Well, you had good news when you got here. You said that you were going to be offering a special this month, and I named it the Nexus Discount.
Well named. Sessions for full sessions are $90, and for this month, if it's your first session, first-time client, we'll take $20 off a session. The half sessions are $45, and we'll take $10 off a half session.
That's awesome
for new clients. And
that's a great opportunity. Just like treat yourself to a new experience. Honestly, you'll learn a lot, and you never know, it might help you too. But really quick, I know that we had sent you a few questions, and one of them was, do you have any future plans for your business? And I want you to talk about how that went for you when you were talking about it with your wife.
Yeah, that was a great prompt question for us, because that's something we kind of think about but never sat down and discussed. And we started talking about, where do we want to go? How can we expand our reach?
Yeah.
And we can only do so many sessions in a week. So there is a limit there. But whether it's through a video or a podcast or speaking engagements, going out and sharing this information gives people a jump start, because if we can create an awareness about the impact, the emotions, the emotional baggage have on you, and give you the tools, you don't necessarily have to come see us. And that's what it's about. And so, if we could get out speaking again now that, COVID and all that mess is over with, if we can get out speaking to groups and start sharing, that's really how we want to grow the business next.
Yeah. And just people to hear about it for the first time, just getting that knowledge out there is awesome. So if you're looking for somebody to present on a wellness topic, I think John would be a great option. You could also probably reach him through the website to book that.
Our phone numbers are on the website also, so you can call or text if you'd like.
Yes. Well, this has been so amazing having you on today. I'm really excited to kind of share this concept with people, and you can always reach out to me too if you want to talk more about it, if you're not really sure. And you can also just reach out and tell me you think I'm completely crazy, because that will not be the first time.
I hear that on a regular basis. I had one gentleman come in, said, "You're crazy. I'm here because my wife made me." And when he left, he shook my hand, said, "You're crazy, but I'll be back next week."
Oh, that's cool.
So that's true of a lot of stories. It's new. It's different. You'll get no judgment. Come on in. We'll share, and you'll be surprised where it takes you.
Yeah, and John's really hard to offend. So
right.
You've heard it all.
Heard it all, and pretty easygoing.
Yes, very easygoing. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show today and teaching everyone about this awesome tool. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, and I thank you for having us on, Renee. You and your team are awesome, and I love talking about it. If anybody wants to know more, just reach out. I'd be glad to.
Love it. Well, I could talk forever to John, but we try to keep this to a minimum, not take up your whole day. So I guess we'll have to say goodbye for now, but hopefully you guys can tune in a few weeks. Bye.